Yo, what's up, all you burner stoners and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
Doing fantastic.
I know why you're doing fantastic.
Why?
I'll tell you in a second. Hey, all you vipers out there. Hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. And Mrs. Weedman and I are about to get normal. And we are smoking some Purple Cherry Ripple number 2 that was given to me by the Legacy Boys. Thank you, Logan. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate for this. When we saw you guys at the Holding It Down Festival, I really appreciate it. And Purple Cherry Ripple number 2 is a strain, a remarkable cross of wedding cake and purple cherry cookies, delivering a sensory experience like no other. Purple Cherry Ripple boasts an aromatic profile that masterfully intertwines the sweetness of cherries with deep woodsy undertones and a rich earthiness that envelopes the senses. Oh, Mrs. Weedman's hearing is going to go brazy.
I'm going to be hearing people a mile away.
Yep. So this is Purple Cherry Ripple number 2. And this is, the total cannabinoids is 29.16%. What'd you drop, Mrs. Weedman?
I dropped the hemp stuff down the hole.
Sounds like a personal
It
problem.
does sound like a personal problem.
And terpene blend is 1.91% of B-carotene, B-myrcene, limonene, and A-humulene. Thanks, Legacy Boys, for the smoke. We really appreciate you throwing to the cause. We're looking forward to smoking Purple Cherry Ripple number 2. Sounds like an ice cream.
Purple schmurple.
Purple schmurple. And looking forward to this. I know why you're so excited and so happy.
Me?
Yes.
Why?
You're going on a little mini vacay with your sister.
Yeah.
My niece, my goddaughter, she turns 21. Isn't that special?
Aww.
Her sister, her best friend. So you girls are going on a road trip to Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, if anybody's out in Nashville this weekend, watch out. We're going to tear up the town. No, we probably won't, but the girls will.
The girls will.
It's going to be fun.
Yes.
This is the youngest niece the youngest niece nephew. It's the youngest grandchild of my mom's, and she's turning 21. But to top that off, my sister has 5 kids. She's been parenting people into adulthood for 40. Her oldest son is 43. Nope, he's not. He's 41.
41.
Because I was 11 when he was born. He is 41, and her youngest is turning 21. So she was momming for a long time.
And
so
she's a grandma.
And she's a grandma. But this is going to be a fun getaway. We'll be celebrating my niece's 21st, but we'll also just be having a girl time, shopping and having some drinks.
And you're going to a non-legal state.
Which means
legal
we're
with
probably
hemp,
going to be drinking more than we're smoking.
Legal with hemp. Legal with THCA products. I heard they sell beverages on the streets, people driving their carts around and stuff like that. So you'll be able to get hemp-derived THC, but also you know what you're bringing.
I might have something.
Some few two-tree things.
Maybe.
As we go to... I'm good right this minute, thank you. As we go to non-legal states, and which I've done many times, Mrs. Weedman has done, you just got to protect yourself and be careful. I mean, some states, they're assholes about weed, and it's ridiculous. But you're able to smoke THCA product on the street, but you can't just smoke regular flower, cannabis sativa flowers. It just makes me crazy. But good luck, Mrs. Weedman.
Oh, so not only could I buy
hemp-derived
cannabis on the street, or hemp-derived
I've seen
THC
articles where people were like...
on the street, but I could smoke it on the street, too?
I don't know about that, but
I thought you were saying that. I was like, so how would they know I don't have a joint?
Well, I've heard people have. I'm not getting really in any trouble, but
we'll see.
You know what
I
to
will
do.
come back next week with a report.
Full
I will
report.
have the DL on consumption on the drag
in
of Nashville. I'm sure they don't call it the drag, but I'll find out what they call it. No, I don't think they call it the strip either.
It's Broadway. The street's Broadway, right?
They just call it Broadway.
Do they? I think so. I've only been there twice. So been there once for work and then once with you and the kids and had a blast. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun. Nashville's a lot of fun if you like music.
Have a good time.
Yes, there'll be a lot of flannel wearing while you're down there in cowboy
my
hats.
sister asked, like, in Nashville, when it's hot out, do you wear a flannel tank top? I said yes, and then you wear cowboy boot flip flops. So we're gonna see if there is such a thing.
What are those called? What women wear? It's a shirt that's kind of tied. It's almost like a tank.
Like a tank, a halter.
A halter. That I when I was down there, There was plenty of
Flannel
women wearing
halter
flannel
tops.
halter tops with cowboy hats,
I'm sure.
jeans,
Oh,
and
yeah,
boots.
yeah.
That was the look when I
The
was
little
there.
like crinkly,
Yes.
ruched tops. That yes.
If you
yes,
don't
yes.
know
I could
Tennessee,
picture it.
if you don't know Nashville, if you listen in other countries, you might have heard of it. Nashville's phenomenal for country music. The Strip, Broadway, tons of bars, tons of music.
What makes it special, though, on that main Broadway avenue where all these bars are, is that you can listen to live music any time of the day.
Yeah, all day and all night.
There's a bar, something is open,
Yep.
and there's always live music, and there's some really phenomenal music. It's
yeah.
not just country.
No,
there's
it's a little bit of everything.
Quite a bit of rock and roll,
Yes.
southern rock. Yeah, there's some pretty that one bar that we will go back to. It's not one of the big name bars that everybody goes to when they're there, but it is this like little diner that has a stage up front, and we have seen some great bands there.
Yes, the Wall
Yeah.
of Cowboy Boots. That's the only. I don't remember the name, but I remember what the inside looked like.
Yeah, it was like an old cowboy boot store, but then there's a counter, and then there's a stage up front.
Yes, and then they serve food.
And you can have food.
Yes.
And you can dance.
Yes.
And you could. I don't think you can buy shoes.
I don't
anymore.
remember the name of the place though. I wish I did, but it's Nashville's a lot of fun. Great scene, great music. I don't really remember the food. It didn't wow me, except for a Nashville barbecue and a Nashville hot chicken sandwich was great.
How about Love's Cafe?
Oh yeah, but that's
Biscuits.
outside.
Yeah, that's like
Nashville.
20 minutes
Yes.
outside of
if you
Nashville.
if you like biscuits and good marmalade, check out Love's Cafe.
But we just got them on our way back from Florida.
They were good.
Takeout.
I just love the
They just weren't as
I just
good
like
as-
dipping the marmalade. Dipping in
Homemade
the-
jam and
Yes.
marmalade.
But Nashville's fun. Miss Weedman gonna go driving down there having some fun.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thanks. I think we're gonna have a good time.
I know you will have a good time. I don't know when you not to have a good time when you go on vacation. But we're gonna have a blast, everybody, on this show. We got really nothing coming up next couple of weeks. We're kind of on the DL a little bit. We went to a grand opening of a dispensary up in Fox Lake. Congratulations, Parkway, and all you up there. It was great to see everybody. We went up there for a drive and stopped up there and said hello and congratulations. We appreciate you and all your dispensaries and all the people who are out there.
Nice store.
Yeah, very nice store. So good luck.
Not oversized. It was
Yeah.
just really nice. They did a good job with it.
Yes,
So
very
check
nice.
it out.
Easy to get to if you're in the Fox Lake area or you're vacationing in the Fox Lake. Check them out. They're good peeps up there. Also, I'd like to wish some prayers to our friend Maddie G. Maddie Gantz. We got neck surgery and
Well, we didn't get neck surgery.
No,
He's
but he
getting
did.
neck surgery.
Maddie got neck surgery, and we just want to say we're praying for you, brother. Get well soon.
Definitely.
Quick healing, so you can get back to doing what you're doing best, and hopefully someone sneaks you in some edibles while you're in the hospital
I
recouping. So we're praying for you, brother. Get well soon. And then anything else, Miss Weedman?
That's all we've got going on right now.
Yeah.
We've got Halloween coming up next week.
Yeah.
Scare some trick or treaters, maybe.
You might
Unless
see
it's
Mr.
snowing
Weedman out
sideways.
in the costume, hanging out some places, walking around in the costume this year. It's been a minute since I won the costume out for Halloween, so it'd be kind of fun if we go anywhere this year. Any Halloween parties? There's some events coming up in November though. We'll probably be going to in December and then next year, and plenty of events. We'll let you all know about what's coming up. But you want to get the show started?
Let's do it.
Let's do this show for everybody out there. But before we get started, let's tell you about 8decades.com.
Before you talk about 8decades.com, the name of that amazing bar, restaurant, boot store thing in Nashville is called Robert's Western World.
Oh, that's it. That's
Yeah.
right. It's right on the Strip.
Yeah,
So, I
Pretty
know
cool.
you'll be there.
I'm going to be there. You know where to find me.
So, 8decades.com, everybody. Check it out. Mrs. Weedman's passion project. It's where you can go on our website and find who we are, find the podcast, but also some of the greatest accessories you'll ever buy. Smoke sets, ashtray, tool, phenomenal 16-gauge stainless steel, new pricing for everybody out there. We have steamrollers, we have grinders, we have a clothing line. We got it. You want it. Go on 8decades.com and check us out and say hi to Mrs. Weedman and her. Sign up for our mailer.
Our newsletter that doesn't exist, but it will. It was supposed to be August. I committed to August.
No, you committed to September.
And then I committed to September, and now it's October.
22nd.
Yeah. So
I'm
maybe
just-
it's going to be the New Year newsletter.
I think
Look
people.
at that.
I think
got
people
two
are
more-
actually. I think
two more
actually people are
months.
mad at you
They probably are. Like
they've
this is
been
total
waiting,
bullshit.
Been waiting 3 months for this.
Hey, but they got a free joint.
They did get a free joint.
Hopefully
Can't be
that
mad.
helps, right?
Definitely can't mad about it.
It's not that I don't have good intentions. It's not that I don't.
You're busy.
I'm going to get this done.
Yeah, I know you will.
Well, and I just don't even know how to do it. There's a lot of things I don't know how to do.
You just do it though.
That's one of them.
That's what makes them good.
Usually I just do it.
You just do
I'm
it.
a little stumped. I like to write, but it's like I got to get in that space.
So anyway, everybody, check
Yeah,
out
check it out.
8decades.com. You also, before we get started, made some phenomenal edibles once again.
Oh, I did. They were good.
Oh,
They're nice. They're chocolate peanut butter bars. So like a Reese's peanut butter cup. It's a peanut butter base that's infused with a chocolate ganache top that's infused with sea salt on it.
so good.
And then you cut them into little squares.
I cannot wait till
Yeah,
after
my
the
mouth is
show
watering.
because we'll be eating one of those before bed tonight. It didn't hit me right away.
Well, they have that nice, it's infused coconut oil.
No, that wasn't. That was
one
ghee.
That's
That's
ghee, not
ghee.
ghee coconut oil mix.
Ooh, actually, that might be ghee coconut mixed. I don't know which one you grabbed. You showed me you grabbed. There was 3 of them in the
was
fridge.
that little one,
The
yeah.
little one. I think that's a mix. But all of a sudden, I was like, these things are delicious. I ate one big bar you gave me. We smoked, so I didn't even know if it was really hitting me. Remember I said because we took it late and then we smoked, and I was like, I think I felt it hit me, but I don't know. And then I got really, really high, and we went upstairs. But when I realized it hit me is when I got up about 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom, and I almost banged my head on the ceiling.
Fresh paint.
Fresh paint that you just
I
painted.
said, don't bang your head on the
came
ceiling.
this close. And then I realized I was like, oh shit.
Oh, shit.
And then I was like, oh shit, I'm really high. and it was dark. I don't know why the nightlight wasn't on by the bathroom.
Yeah, where is that nightlight?
I don't know. But all I know is I couldn't see so fucking good. And I was like, what time did that fucking hit me at then, you know? Because I was out. I
Yeah.
did not want to wake up to go to the pee.
Yeah.
I was pissed.
Oh.
I was sleeping so well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you want to tell about what happened with the screen last night?
Just made me think. So we were expected to get a little bit of rain today, which we really, really, really need. We're essentially in a drought. And so we had windows open because it's nice out. I went upstairs to shut a window, and the window is right over our bed that we laid in last night, and said, man, there's a lot of gnats in the house or something, or like mosquito, like what keeps bobbing around? We're like hitting ourselves and like swatting at bugs. I'm like, I don't know. We had the windows open. We have screens, so it was like
best part
I don't
about
know.
it is,
the door
though,
was open a lot today.
The best part about it is you closed the curtain.
I closed the curtain, and I didn't realize we had painters here. The painters were working in that area. They had painted the ceiling, and I don't know why painting the ceiling means you take the screen off of a window, but the painter took the screen off the window and didn't put it back on. So our house had an open window, like wide open window, second floor.
For like 15 hours.
Yeah, if not more. Yeah, yeah. Including while we slept. Like, could you imagine if a bird flew in and like landed on her, or a squirrel jumped in?
What if
like,
a bird flew through the fucking window?
fuck.
Like didn't realize.
It really could have happened. It could have happened. Oh my
That's how
God.
stoned you were before we went to bed
Yeah,
last
that
night.
is,
Then if you
yeah.
didn't notice there was, because
But
you
it's-
notice everything.
Yeah, but the homemade edibles, when we make them with the infused butters or the oils, it's like a good, healthy fat that processes really slowly through your body. So the high...
Nothing better.
You don't get like that slammed high. It's just this very gradual high that lingers around for a very long time and then just kind of tapers off. But
Yes.
you could feel high for a long time.
I mean,
with
I'm
these
going to
things.
tell you something right now. And listen, the dispensary edibles that they make are good. They're good. Will I tell you that
Yeah,
they're?
this is not
Will I tell you
extracted. This is like-
they're the best thing I've ever had? No.
No.
Edibles at dispensaries are good. Hands down, they're good.
They do the job.
because they're made with distillate.
Yeah.
And I
Don't like...
could
Sorry.
care less if I ever fucking use distillate ever again.
Ever.
But I will tell you this: homemade butter or homemade coconut oil,
It hits
or
different.
infused using the stuff in your house. Maybe you infuse some olive oil. Maybe you infuse sugar like I've done.
With your fresh bud that you grew.
Right. Or you buy from somebody you know.
You buy bulk. Yeah.
Right. And let me tell you something. Butter, coconut oil hits different than distillate. You can come over our house and enjoy some Mrs. Weedman.
Or anybody, if you have a friend who makes a homemade that's like truly with good ingredients and natural butters and oils.
There is nothing better than homemade butter.
And this isn't like buying Rick Simpson oil or buying distillate and putting it into a recipe. This is like, it's incorporated, and we make the butter from the plant you grow. Oh, it's different.
It hits different.
Yeah.
When I take one of Mrs. Weedman's edibles, I probably stay high for a good 6 hours. Like high. Not like, but it's
whacked out.
It's
just
good,
a nice,
just like you're just feeling great for hours. 6 hours is like where I mean, been eating for years, and for 6 hours I am zooted. And
are there any brands that make butter and oils, or are all
used to
dispensary products made with distillate?
Used to. I mean, there's still. When I was in Oklahoma, there was a dispensary that was making homemade.
Yeah, like why couldn't they?
Homemade edibles they were making cookies,
with
cakes
butters
with
and oils.
butter, yes. And that was amazing. It's just different. Distillate nowadays is it's like a watered down product.
It's just stripped of all of the benefits.
All the good stuff.
That you're just getting THC. That's it.
Right.
Which is great.
And it doesn't last very long anymore. Because I truly believe distillate has gotten weaker compared to when I used distillate like in 2013, from like 2014 when I used to get it from California to like 2018 when I would use it on a regular basis, and because it was good and I knew who I was getting it from, and it was strong though. I mean, there was no additives, fillers. This was just straight pure distillate, and you would get baked. I mean, I smoked a 99% one time and I was zooted, but it came up high. And it came down quick, though. Right. That's the problem with distillate. You got to keep on fucking sucking that pen.
We talked about the Lagunitas Christmas party that one year, right?
With the goopiness.
My batch of, so I make these
cushy rolls.
And it's like a Tootsie Roll. That's what my recipe kind of is based off of. It's not a taffy. It's more of a caramel, but kind of a Tootsie Roll taste.
Yes.
So it didn't set right. It was just like I needed it to go like probably 2 more degrees for like 5 more minutes, and I would have been great. And so anytime I tried to like cut a piece off and wrap it, it would just like
it was like fudge.
It would just melt.
It came out like fudge.
Softer than fudge. It would just melt out.
Oh, like fudge you put on ice cream.
Right.
That kind
like
of fudge. Like a hot fudge, yes.
So we literally just brought the bar pan.
We bought 4 bar pans.
With the parchment paper lined the bar pan with the slab of stuff, and we put a whole basket full of knives, plastic knives next to it. We just told people a teaspoon goes a long way. Oh my God.
People
by the end of the
whacked.
night, there were like probably 6 people around this pan,
just
like
scooping.
Scraping and
but remember
scraping
and
licking the
this
paper.
This girl was licking the paper because there was nothing left but was on the paper. She's like, I'm not wasting this.
I wish we documented that. We did not take pictures of that.
I wish we would have. That would have been great.
Oh my God, that was hysterical.
Oh, so there's a
Everybody
difference.
was like,
there's a difference with homemade edibles when you make them with butter or coconut oil, and you're using flour, and it's just you decarb it. And we use a machine. We use the magic. But I used to do it the old school way with water extraction and fucking cheesecloth. Never again.
That was brutal.
Oh my God,
that took so much time.
Forever. It was strong as fuck.
Yeah.
But using the magic butter machine changed my world. I mean, that's like set and forget it, and you just leave it and let you know that it just makes too much noise. It's the only thing I don't like about it.
Always scares the animals.
Yeah, Yuki hides
because it's quiet, and then it like turns on in cycles, and it makes this loud winding, noise. Loud pitched.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Yeah. It sounds like a food processor times 100. Yeah, it's loud, like a engine that's broken. But it makes a phenomenal fucking butter or infusions.
It's almost like the sound of a coffee grinder.
Yeah, but worse.
Loud, higher pitched.
Yeah, oh yeah. Like a coffee grinder got stuck.
It won't fucking stop.
But yeah, so I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, but like I said, if you can find somebody that can make this for you, or if you could do it yourself and learn how to do it yourself, maybe one day Mrs. Weedman and I will do a class. We'll do it on YouTube, and we'll post how we make it all so you can see. But I'm telling you right now, there's a difference when you make homemade butter. It's just, trust me when I tell you, try one of Mrs. Weedman's edibles. You will be feeling just right. And they hit, and they all of a sudden they're like, we have one called the Crispy Creeper, because that fucking shit just creeps up on you and fucks you up. And anybody out there,
Don't you steal my names.
Don't you steal our names.
That was Cushy Rolls
and Crispy Creepers.
They're mine.
Yes, do not steal them. We will know. We will find.
We will know.
And we will find you. We will find you. Well, we were supposed to get the show ready like 10 minutes ago. Now it's 20 minutes into the show. You ready to get the show started?
Let's start.
Before we get out of control.
Yes.
You're likely using cannabis wrong, Mrs. Weedman.
Me?
You're likely using cannabis wrong.
Probably.
You want to know how?
Why? Not enough?
No. Yeah, well, not enough for sure. There are facts that cannabis consumers have repeated until they were accepted as an objective truth. Most people agree that sativa is energetic. That's been drilled in our head. Not 100% accurate. While indicas make you more sleepy or lethargic. Not always happens. Not 100% correct. So that's just what we've been drilled and taught. We've talked about this. Someone made a little chart to make it easy for everybody. Others might claim that equal doses of THC and CBD is the best for pain. We've heard that too, a 1-to-1 ratio. We've talked about that. Some people don't need the 1-to-1 ratio. Some people need more of a ratio. Some people don't need a ratio at all. It just depends. It's just personal preference and how your body endocannabinoid system works. But here, there's a cannabis tech company and wellness brand jointly helps people track how they use weed products for wellness. And I think we've talked about them on a prior show. The co-founder recently told Green State that not all of the app data aligns with cannabis culture facts. Product choice accounts for 26% of the cannabis experience, and dose accounts for 25%, while the remaining 49% is a result of factors like setting, hydration, exercise, diet, time since last dose, and more. It's not just what you use, but how you use it, they said. The Jointly app serves as a consumption journal, but one with the ability to connect specific brand strains and products. All of that shared information paints a more detailed picture of what cannabis and its vital compounds might be capable of. Correcting common cannabis misnomers. People have been discrediting indica and sativa labels for some time. Dr. Ethan Russo has long been a proponent of judging weed based on terpenes rather than terms mentioned above. Jointly data supports Russo's theories, showing that these names aren't all they're cracked up to be. App users set an intention for their sesh before explaining the consumption products and methods. Sativa strains and concentrates have been offered as a more uplifting and clear-headed option than those labeled indica. However, experiences shared in the Jointly app tell another tale. The average sativa variety score 12% higher than the average indica in the energized category, but 47% of indica experiences outperform the average sativa. The plot thickens. What we mean by that is the average sativa effectiveness rating for Energize is 12% higher than the average indica effectiveness rating for Energize across all cannabis experiences in our database. But the range of experience is so wide that 47% of indica cannabis experiences with the goal of energizing are actually better than the average sativa experience, they explained. Whoa. What we mean by that is the average sativa effectiveness ratings for Energize is 12% higher than the average indica effectiveness rating for Energize across all cannabis experience in our database, but the range of experience is so wide that 47% of cannabis experiences with the goal of Energize are actually better than the average sativa. This is echoed in the exercise category. People had a 17% higher rating for sativas on average, but indica strains outperformed sativa ones 41% of the time. As for focus, sativas were 6% more popular than indicas, but 47.5% of users had success focusing these more relaxing strain options. The same goes for creativity. Many tout sativas as creative strains, but 47% of indicas experience outperform sativas in the category. While many believe sativas are the answer for the mental task, anecdotally, data shows that there is more to the story. These above 4 points show that the strain type alone is insufficient to predict the quality of effectiveness of a cannabis experience without considering other factors. The same can be said for specific cannabinoids or terpenes, they said. Indica and sativas are just one piece of the vast cannabis vocabulary puzzle, part of which the full acronyms THC, CBD, CBN, and other compounds have been making headlines for their supposed benefits for sleep and pain. Much like the world of strain labels, there is much left to learn regarding these cannabinoids are capable of. Cannabinoids can be more useful than we think. Salute.
Salute.
Cannabinoids can be more useful than we think. The plant has brought much relief with so little scientific basis that consumers are starving for more cannabis research. Unfortunately, there has been research scarcity for generations. Because of this, a new study emerges. The culture often quickly adopts them as reality. While there is no reason to imply that theories possessed a research paper are incorrect, assume there is more to the story. One common stoner fact is that CBN helps people sleep, but the cannabinoid possibilities extend far more beyond slowly slumber. According to jointly users, CBN could also be a valuable tool for stress relief and pain symptoms. Most turn to CBD or a combination of that and THC when experiencing pain and tension, but even that journey has its misconceptions. People recording experiences using cannabis products to relieve pain or stress shared that commonly suggested a 1-to-1 ratio of 10 milligrams of THC to 10 milligrams of CBD does not work well as 20 milligrams of THC alone. However, massively upping the CBD from 50 to 100 milligrams when 10 milligrams of THC could help encourage relaxation and relief better than both of the other options. We've talked about that, the higher dose of CBD, taking like 30, 40, but also, like you said, be careful though. Start slow and go slow, but you can probably take more of CBD than you think. CBD does under 15 milligrams show no impact on average effectiveness for these goals, but doses of 50 or more increases effectiveness by 10 to 20%. Though most of the effectiveness is still driven by THC and other non-product factors, they explain. This information is helpful for those exploring many facets of cannabis possibility, but also an indicator of why weed doesn't translate easily into Western medicine. It also emphasizes the need for cannabis sommeliers who are trained specifically on the plant, at least until medical training catches up to the industry. Weed lessons keep on coming. Every month, the world learns new about how cannabis plant interacts with the human body. For good or bad, research continues revealing what weed is capable of, and the data shows how much is left to learn. The best way to know how each strain or product will impact an individual is to keep a diary and shop based on personal experience. Until the research grows, there will be an element of choose your own adventure with weed products. Always a great article from them. They write good shit. We love hemp. Hemp will save the world one day.
Yeah.
Right? As Jack Herrera says. So industrial hemp. How the marijuana plant is used in everyday products. Tell us about it, Mrs. Weedman.
Yes. Cannabis is a miracle plant. You can use it recreationally, medicinally, and for industrial purposes. According to an article published in Molecules, industrial hemp originated in Central Asia, dating back to China around 2700 BC. Contrary to popular belief, hemp and marijuana are not two different species of plants. The only actual difference between hemp and marijuana is in their THC content. According to the Agricultural Act of 2018, hemp contains up to 0.3% THC. That's less THC than traditional marijuana. Hemp is a versatile plant that manufacturers use to create several products, including paper, clothing, and building materials. In regard to paper, not all paper is made from trees. In fact, hemp paper dates back to the Western Han Dynasty, 202 BC to 9 AD. That's a long time ago.
Long time.
According to the American Forest and Paper Association, Chinese court officials Cai Lun invented paper using a mixture of mulberry bark, hemp, and water. Lun mashed these ingredients into a pulp, pressed out the liquid, and then hung the remaining mat to dry in the sun. And the end result? Paper. Loon's invention didn't hit the Middle East until 300 years later. It took another 500 years for Europe to catch up. I'm surprised at that. But then once it spread to Europe, paper...
I'm not.
No?
No.
Paper became a popular product. I don't know.
It wasn't grown in Europe.
Yeah.
And it had to be brought over from China,
right?
First through the Silk Road, remember?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So they didn't even know about hemp. They didn't know about that back then, So
I think more just the fact that they weren't making paper.
Oh.
They didn't know about that. It took them 5 years.
You remember Fred Flintstone? They were writing on fucking stone with a fucking stone hammer and a stone nail. The Flintstones, that's what they were still in. Meanwhile,
they were busy painting church ceilings and
Right. They were doing things differently.
They were being artists and building churches and beautiful towns and cities. All right. So once word spread to Europe, paper became a popular product. People used it to print books, Bibles, and legal documents. By 1690, the U.S. had built its first paper mill in Pennsylvania. In the beginning, the U.S. paper mills used Lund's method, but as the demand grew, the technique and materials changed. Due to the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937, U.S. mills switched from hemp to wood, which was cheaper and legal.
You all know why. We've talked about this, about the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937, when Harry Anslinger and that dude that owned, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, owned that forestry, and that was one of the other reasons. There was multiple reasons why the Marijuana Tax, but that was
killed
one.
The hemp industry.
Killed it.
And then is where the illegality of cannabis began.
Yes.
Up to that point, they were using it for medicine. They were doing research on it.
Yep.
1937, no more.
No mas.
So, food and beverages. Hemp seeds make for a tasty and nutritious topper on yogurt, salad, oatmeal, rice, and veggies. They're also packed with vitamins B and E, minerals, sodium, iron, calcium, sulfur, and potassium, to name a few, and fatty acids omega-3 and 6. What's more, hemp seeds may produce anti-inflammatory effects. Other hemp-based foods include hemp seed butter, hemp flour, hemp honey, hemp milk, hemp protein powder, and hemp can essentially be made into just about anything, including vodka and chewing gum.
Ooh.
I know.
Chewing gum, huh?
Hemp building materials. Hemp lumber is an eco-friendly alternative to traditional lumber. It has a harvest time of 4 months, while most trees used for lumber can take anywhere from 20 to 80 years. It's also durable, and according to Hemp Build magazine, it's 20% harder than oak wood. Like, again, what are we waiting for, right? Bamboo and hemp, and our forests can just go on and flourish and
give
grow
us oxygen
and keep the world healthy, and we keep planting trees and hemp and bamboo for all of these things. Magazine, let's see. Hemp Build magazine said it's 20% harder than oak wood. The Hemp Wood brand launched a new sustainable wood alternative in 2019. According to the company's website, hemp wood can be used for flooring, furniture, and other construction materials.
A hemp wood floor would be dead.
I know. Plus, it's much more affordable than most domestic hardwoods. And we have hempcrete. That's right. A hemp-based concrete alternative is another versatile construction material. It's made from hemp hurd, a part of the plant that was previously considered waste, plus lime and other natural ingredients. Hempcrete is a plant-based, energy-efficient, and 100% recyclable. Another thing that you should know about that's not in here is hemp insulation, and between the hempcrete and the hemp insulation, you could create a almost fire retardant home, and super eco-friendly and energy efficient. So, according to the Hemp Foundation, the hemp plant has more than 50,000 known uses, from paper to medication. And thanks to the Hemp Farming Act of 2018, American farmers are allowed to grow hemp as a rotational crop. Even so, there are restrictions in place. So we need to keep fighting for it, because hemp may be the answer to a greener tomorrow. I didn't think about that. Rotational crop. So you can't just continuously grow hemp. Isn't that dumb? Why? I mean, it's great for fields. It has regenerative qualities. It conditions soil. It takes toxins out of soil. It's phenomenal. And I understand the rotational part of it because it brings
Get rid of
the soil
Get rid of
back.
all the corn we grow.
Well, not all of it.
No, but all the
there's a lot of
corn we don't need.
corn and soy that we're growing, and we could probably make room for hemp.
Just for we're growing a lot of that for other countries.
Right.
Start growing hemp in replacement, and we could save the world. Start using it for all this stuff. So get rid of plastic. Start using hemp, recyclable and renewable stuff. So much better for the earth and so much better for our health, period. Good job, Mrs Weedman.
Oh, thanks.
Is hemp-derived CBD a good treatment for marijuana use disorder? Research aimed to find out with the new study plan. Researchers have published a new study plan to test whether hemp-derived CBD might offer an off-ramp for people with marijuana use disorder, potentially enabling them to reduce their consumption of THC. The protocol, funded by a grant from the National Institute of Drug Abuse and published in the Journal of PLOS 1, PLOS 1. It's weird. Lays out a procedure for the double-blind randomized trial involving heavy stable cannabis concentrates users that meet criteria for at least moderate cannabis use disorder and are seeking to decrease or stop cannabis use. Authors of the protocol from the University of Colorado in Boulder and Denver note that unlike THC, CBD has no intoxicating effects and little abuse liability among cannabis users. They also point out that the past research indicated CBD could reduce heroin-seeking behavior, cravings, and anxiety in people with opioid dependence. Given the combined evidence of the prior work, the papers say CBD combined with low-dose THC might reduce withdrawal symptoms in abstaining cannabis users, and this mechanism of action may derive the therapeutic effects of hemp-derived CBD on reducing cannabis use. Current research, authors point out, is limited to synthetic or isolated forms of CBD that are not widely available. By contrast, there have been no tests of the hemp-derived CBD that is widely available without prescription across the U.S. The researchers divided commercially available hemp products into two forms of full-spectrum CBD, which is the whole plant, get everything, which they say contains roughly 0.3% THC. The legal limit for hemp products federally in broad spectrum, which is half isolate and half full spectrum, little halvesies, half and half, and which does not contain any THC. And just so you know, isolate is just 100% pure powder. You ever sniff that shit? Goes right to your brain.
CBD isolate?
Our early data suggests CBD that also contains low levels of THC reduces THC drug reward, withdrawal, anxiety, and overall THC use in heavy concentrate users, they wrote, supporting the potential for hemp-derived CBD to reduce THC use and mitigate withdrawal in a high-risk group. However, no placebo-controlled trial that has conducted comparing the hemp-derived CBD with or without THC or reducing THC use. The model would split participants in 3 groups and give each person 8 soft gels to take orally every day. Participants in the placebo group would receive no CBD, while those in the full spectrum and the broad spectrum groups would receive a total of 400 milligrams of CBD per day. All those in the study would participate in 5 psychotherapy sessions meant to support motivation for reducing marijuana use, and they would be evaluated on various measures relating to cannabis use disorder as well as mental and physical health. Extent data indicated that cannabis concentrates use is rapidly increasing and that heavy THC exposure leads to greater cannabis-related harms, including more cannabis use, withdrawals, and CUD symptoms, the report says. While the field currently has no existing medications to treat CUD, a non-intoxicating cannabinoid CBD shows promise as a candidate of CUD medication and may reduce cannabis use and withdrawal, especially higher doses or hemp-derived full-spectrum CBD are used. Excuse me, everybody. Though THC and CBD interact with the same receptors in the human brain, exactly how CBD modulates with the body's relationship to THC is still being explored by scientists. A study published recently, for example, found the contrary to widespread popular belief. CBD may be actually heighten the experience of marijuana high rather than diminish it. The research published in the Journal of Clinical Pharmacology and Therapeutics found that people who took a high dose of CBD alongside a smaller 9 milligram dose of THC did not reduce, but instead significantly increased subjective psychomotor, cognitive, and autonomous effects of THC. Smaller doses of CBD, such as 10 milligram and 30 milligram, did not appear to have the same effect, which we talked about a few episodes ago. The report was noteworthy in part because conventional wisdom among many in the cannabis community is that CBD can help lessen a too intense marijuana high by blocking THC interactions with the brain's CB1 receptors. The study suggests that in some level, CBD in fact begins to make the felt effects of cannabis more intense. The findings add to other research indicating that the combinations of cannabinoids and other chemicals in cannabis may produce a stronger high than THC on its own. Separate research published last year, for example, found that cannabis products with a more diverse array of natural cannabinoids produced a stronger psychoactive experience that lasts longer than the high generated by pure THC alone. Another scientific review published this last spring found that the complex interactions between phytocannabinoids, a biological system, offers hope for novel treatment approaches, laying the groundwork for a new era of innovation in the cannabis-based medicines. What do you get when we're older?
Wrinkles.
Wrinkles.
It's beginning. It's not just beginning.
You bought this new lotion, though. This new CBD, right?
Yeah.
CBD, what is it helping to do?
Well, I'm going to read all about it. There is research saying that it's possible CBD can reduce age-telling wrinkles.
You guys see like women bathing in it now.
I know, right? Wrinkles are part of growing older. Yeah, they are. But actually, I don't really mind them. It's just weird. But what if you could delay them, especially with your hands? Botox, chemical peels, fillers, and photo rejuvenation are all expensive and major ways to stop the signs of aging and wrinkles. For centuries, women and men have tried to turn back the clock by eliminating or at least reducing the telltale signs on their face. Hands are notoriously known for gaining wrinkles early and leaking the secrets of a person's age. What if CBD could reduce those age-telling wrinkles? While many overpromise what CBD can do, it might actually help with this problem. CBD comes from the cannabis plant, but it doesn't get you high due to its low percentage of THC. A study evaluating particular retinol and CBD topical product found significant improvements in various skin quality domains, including visible pores, dehydration, surface roughness, and both static and dynamic wrinkles. Participants reported high satisfaction and willingness to recommend the product, with excellent tolerability. One of the key ways CBD may combat wrinkles is through its potent anti-inflammatory properties. Inflammation is a major contributor to skin aging, leading to the breakdown of collagen and elastin. By inhibiting inflammatory cytokines, CBD can help calm irritated skin and prevent the acceleration of wrinkle formation. This anti-inflammatory action may also soothe skin conditions like eczema and psoriasis, which can exacerbate the signs of aging. CBD is rich in antioxidants, which play a crucial role in protecting the skin from oxidative stress caused by free radicals. Free radicals generated by factors like UV radiation and pollution damage cellular structures and lead to premature aging. By neutralizing these harmful molecules, CBD can preserve skin cell integrity and promote a more youthful appearance. As we age, collagen production naturally declines, resulting in sagging skin and wrinkles.
I don't understand why.
Because you lose your collagen.
Why?
Your elastin.
But
because
why?
your body is older. It just doesn't make it all anymore.
Fucking who says that?
I mean, 50. It's not
Shouldn't be
midlife.
losing
Didn't we
collagen,
just
period.
say that?
We shouldn't even get wrinkles.
Well, why?
That's exactly why.
I don't know, why not?
Why do we deserve to get wrinkles?
So that you know you're old.
That's all in your head. Sorry.
For men, of course, you get gray hair, you get the little dad belly, you get wrinkles, and then you become distinguished. Women just look like old hens. Is that what they used to call them? Old hens. Crow's feet. You're an old hen. You hag.
Oh man.
Anyway, as we age, collagen production naturally declines. All right. So maybe it is true, as research suggests, that CBD can help stimulate collagen production. promoting firmer and more resilient skin. This effect is partly due to CBD's ability to reduce inflammation and oxidative stress, both of which can impair collagen synthesis. Proper hydration is essential for maintaining youthful skin. CBD has hydrating and moisturizing properties that can help combat the effects of aging and skin moisture retention. By maintaining the skin's natural barrier function, CBD prevents moisture loss and keeps the skin plump and hydrated, reducing the appearance of fine lines. So yes, when done right, CBD can help with wrinkles. While the research on CBD's anti-aging effects is promising, experts emphasize the need for more extensive studies to fully understand its long-term benefits and potential side effects. As with any skincare product, it's advisable to consult with a dermatologist before incorporating anything new into your anti-aging routine, especially if you have specific skin concerns or conditions. So, my niece, who we're going to celebrate this weekend, is also an esthetician, and she told me she consumes cannabis on the daily. And she said, Susan, we have this new product at work. It's a CBD facial moisturizer. It's like an oil. And I was like, I want it. So I got it, and I've been using it for about a week and a half now.
I've been using it.
And I used to always laugh.
3 days a week after I shave. My shaving days.
It really is very moisturizing. It's
very nice.
But not like greasy grind. Like
no,
it's not
smooth.
shiny. It's not oily. It's almost like it goes on like a serum.
It's very nice.
And I do feel. And we use a cell, cannabis stem cell. It's a product line, skincare line, and we just get it at Whole Foods. You can get it on Amazon if you are.
We've been using it for years.
I've never found it at Target. You could and I have found it at our health food store, but it's very hit or miss. But it's made by Andalou, and that's a stem cell cannabis skincare line. And there's a couple other brands out there that make some hemp-based products. But
this new one is nice.
The new one's really nice.
Yeah, and it's oil, right?
It's an oil.
Yeah, it's an oil. Different.
It's from like a med spa, so it's their own. It's their own brand, but it is like third-party tested. It was pure CBD oil, and then some other types of things.
Yeah, make sure when you look for that pure CBD oil versus other ones, you want.
And
the
I think
pureness.
it's really important to try to verify if whatever product you're getting has been tested.
Right.
If you're buying CBD anywhere, look for some sort of third-party testing. Don't waste your money.
There you go.
And don't put your health at risk.
Right.
You don't know what these things are.
Very true, Mrs. Weedman.
Don't just trust the words CBD and THC because they're everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere.
We've talked about it on a lot of the shows. That gas station stuff is the best.
Gosh.
Don't overdo it, Mrs. Weedman. Don't overdo it. Mm-hmm. Do you ever figure out how to determine the right cannabis dosage for you?
Yeah.
You've done a pretty good job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spend time with folks, though, who enjoy cannabis effects, and you're bound to notice that nearly everybody has a different consumption tolerance. I was just talking with a friend of mine today about consumption, and where he's at with edibles and smoking and where I'm at. I have a very low tolerance for alcohol, for weed. I don't need a lot. A little goes a long way with me. But that's why I for me personally, low dose stuff is my jam. I don't need high dose because I have such a low tolerance. I can get fucked up really quick. Alcohol especially. I mean, you've seen me. I get sloppy quick.
Drink you under the table.
You can. You can probably smoke
It's
me.
been a long time.
Yeah. I don't.
But
we don't drink. We don't drink that.
definitely
You probably still can outdrink me. I cannot drink very much.
I don't even want to drink. A drink, like a couple drinks are great.
Yeah,
but
we were talking
I don't
about
wanna get
shots
shitty.
too, weren't we? Or I was talking about shots with my buddy today. I'm like, I don't even like doing shots.
No, I was saying I went to pick up some being 21 party favors for the
picked
weekend.
up those dice.
And there was it was at Binny's. They had spin the shot glass.
Yes.
So it was a little platform. You put your shot glass on, you spin it, and whoever the arrow lands on drinks it. And I was like, I almost bought it. And I was like, oh, wait, I might have to do a lot of shots. Nope. Terrible
You're
gift.
not good with shots. You could drink liquor and cocktails, but you're not good with I'm not a shot person.
It's the sugary shit that's added to everything. Ugh.
Yeah, not a fan. No. So, but Right doses, don't overdo it, but spend time with people, and you can see how you can watch people, their tolerance and their dosage use is crazy. While some people may smoke a whole joint and be functional, others might get super high off it, or just a puff of two. Some regular consumers will eat and infuse candy with a very high concentration of cannabis. In contrast, others are just satisfied with 2.5 mils of a gummy or a mint or a chocolate piece or something. What some super users and others lightweights, what makes them? Why are they like this? The simple answer is we're all human, and everybody's body chemistry is different. It's similar to drinking alcohol, where one person has to down a 6-pack of beer to feel drunk while the friend gets a pleasant enough buzz off a single can. Age, gender, experience, and genetics can play a role according to experts. From a technical perspective, the answer lies with the endocannabinoid system, or ECS, which is just now being seriously studied by scientists. So far, we know that the ECS regulates appetite, memory, sleep, mood, and possibly even fertility. Cannabinoids like THC bind with the receptors in the ECS, creating a different effect for everybody. The most straightforward answer, though, could depend on the strain you're smoking. High THC strains are becoming more and more popular. The 5 top strains in Cannabis Enthusiast Focus website, Flavor Fix All, have THC rates that clock to around 20% or higher. From the 1960s to the 1980s, according to the government studies, most cannabis had THC content below 2%. This isn't your dad's weed you're smoking anymore. Finding the right dose. How to determine the proper dosage for a flower or even infused edibles that may not have particular strain attached. Kind of good news and bad news thing. Bad news first. You will always have to do some research and sampling. Sure, you can take somebody's advice, but you don't know that person's consumption habit, tolerance, or genetic disposition. The good news, today's technology has made it easy and relatively affordable to track your right dose using sensors, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, apps, notes on your phone, taking pictures of the packaging and seeing, holding on to it till you're done with it. It all starts with picking out your strain. You can use databases, or you can use websites, or you can talk to your bud tender, or you can ask people how it made them feel. So much to do and so much to try before you buy a product. So, for example, if a certain strain scores a 9.5 by somebody, if they go on an app or they're telling you, oh, this is like 5 stars, or if you're talking to a friend, what do you think? What do you rate it? I gave it like an 8.2, man, it fucked me up. It tasted great. What does it all mean? Does that mean anything to you? Probably not, right?
No.
Yeah. That's their
I was
experience.
kind of spaced out.
I know you were. I caught you.
I have no idea what you're talking
It's all right.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I mean, I knew that you were talking about dosing and
Right.
high
I
tolerance,
got
low
you.
tolerance.
You're,
but
you're,
I
in,
just
you're
really,
in Tennessee right now.
I don't
Or
even
what you
know
got to pack.
I do. Yeah.
But keep reading reviews and learning about the different stuff you're trying and what you're tasting and experiencing, and find some stuff that you like. Maybe that's not enough for you to give it a shot, somebody's rating. But it also tastes good. Might have a specific taste that you like about it. Perhaps that taste isn't appealing to you, right? Keep on scrolling, keep on doing your research to something, or keep on asking questions till you find something that might suit your interest.
Mm-hmm.
Some strains will be described as intensely euphoric or mood lifting, pain, and you hear us talking about different strains and what the descriptions are. So every time we try to do a show, we try to give you the descriptions of what that strain is, what the THC percentage is, what the terpenes are in there. Mm-hmm. But don't forget, it might not, if you're in a different state or a different country, that strain might be grown just a little bit different than what we got here.
I think that it would be really interesting if I could be consistent. I would do it, but I feel like I won't follow through on it because I'm not good at journaling and keeping track of these kind of things. But if you didn't know what the strain did, you only knew the strain name, You don't know if it's a hybrid. You don't know if it's a sativa. You don't know if it's an indica. You don't know the THC. You know nothing other than the name.
Right.
And you just go into an app and you're just able to note how much you consumed, half joint or, whatever, however, a couple hits on whatever, a bong, whatever. I can't get my words out. But if you could then just be able to quickly note the feelings and the effects that you're feeling from it, and then compare it. Like at the end, then you could slide the little tab over, and then the description of the strain and the proposed effects of it and then you could compare. Wouldn't that be interesting? Because and then I think you'd get this, instead of having this kind of placebo effect high because you have told your brain what to anticipate, you could actually have a genuine idea of what the strain does for you.
Right. Yeah.
And determine, because like you're saying, a strain over time gets not necessarily diluted, but it can change a little bit.
Well, it changes depending on the grower and how they're growing it.
Right.
You might not have that high THC percentage you have in Michigan that you have in maybe Arizona. The terpene blend might be a little bit different. There might be a terpene missing.
Then you're just a human, so you're different. And so your body's going to respond a little more differently. And I would imagine over history that they have come to these kind of descriptions of a strain and the effects of each strain, and they are categorized, and they are, they're out there. They're universal descriptions of the strains.
Right.
But like you're saying, it could be different for everybody.
Slightly. Yeah. Some might be major depending on what, just depends.
And I think a lot of it has to do with your, each person's ability to understand what they're feeling.
Right. Yeah, especially if you're with somebody for the first time, or they're not a smoker all the time, or
maybe they don't even pay attention. They don't care. They just like to feel stoned.
Right.
They don't care about all the little intimacies of how you feel.
That's the 80%.
Right.
80% of the people
matter.
they just
want to feel stoned.
Right. So there's some tech products out there though to help you if you want to get wonky. There's gadgets like vaporizers. There's tech allows you to vape flower or concentrates. It's also typically connect to an app or other device to allow you to track the amount of cannabis you consumed and max temperatures. Some devices won't fix or figure out edible dosage for you, though. To determine the appropriate dosage for when it comes to infused products like candies or cookies, start at a low dose, 2.5 mils. Maybe start at a mil. You don't know. Depends on you. A 2.5 milligram dose is becoming the universally accepted starting point for edibles and a good microdose level. And because edibles could take an hour to kick in for some people, some even longer, you have to practice patience. Just don't start down in more of those fucking 2.5 million mints, or it will catch up to you, But like all virtues, that patience will pay off when you don't have a negative experience. Also, ask your bud tender if you want to know about products. Most likely, they've tried them. So, and they get a lot of products.
And they get a lot of feedback.
Yes.
So, if they don't have personal experience, they may know from customer experience.
Right. And that's the key part of it. This is great. As more research comes along, there'll be more of the same stuff we're kind of talking about here because there's new research and new data from maybe the last time or the last article that we read about it from a different writer or a different scientist. So as we talk about more and more stuff and research is coming along, we're going to fill you in as best as we possibly can. Here's the crazy thing. Everybody thinks that stoners are lazy, and we are not lazy. I said this before, there's no such thing as a lazy stoner, just lazy people.
The lazy stoner is a stereotype from the war on drugs.
Yes. 100%. Good call, Mrs. Weedman. That is 100% been filled into our brains, and especially into my parents. Well, maybe my dad was a stoner, so it didn't matter to him. But maybe somebody's parents' brains like, you shouldn't smoke that weed. It'll make you lazy. No, I'm just chilling, Ma. I'm relaxed. I feel good. It's Sunday, and I got nothing to do, nowhere to go. So I'm just going to get stoned, and I'm going to relax. Why does it have to be lazy? Stoners like to relax. It's good because it gets your body into the zone. So as we talked about lazy stoner articles before, and there is marijuana use is tied to higher prevalence of physical activity, contrary to the lazy stoner stereotypes. And this is another new study. So tell us about it, Mrs. Weedman.
Yep. A new study shows that contrary to lazy stoner stereotypes, legal medical cannabis promotes greater physical activity in people with chronic medical conditions, and that legal recreational cannabis promotes greater physical activity. What? I'm really high, but this doesn't even make sense. Legal recreational cannabis promotes greater physical activity in those not experiencing chronic medical
I knew
conditions.
you'd get it.
Thanks.
You lazy stoner.
Yeah. Yeah. In the U.S., current cannabis use is associated with a higher prevalence of physical activity. The new paper, published this month in the Journal of Cannabis Research, concludes the prevalence of physical activity is significantly greater in the U.S. states and territories where cannabis is legalized for recreational and medical purpose versus not legal. The study from researchers at Brigham Young University's Public Health Department analyzed the association between cannabis use and physical activity in adults 18 and older in the United States from the years 2016 to 2022. Authors used data from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention's Behavior Risk Factor Surveillance System, which consists of national telephone surveys about health-related risks, behaviors, chronic health conditions, and use of preventative services, the report explains. While self-reported physical activity was higher in cannabis users, that difference was only significant in jurisdictions where marijuana is legal in some form, whether for adult or medical use. The association between current cannabis use and physical activity is not significant in areas where cannabis is illegal, the study says, but significantly positive in areas where it is legal, and more so in states with legal recreational cannabis. Authors note that when respondents were asked about their primary reasons for using marijuana, physical activity wasn't generally associated with medical cannabis use, though it was for recreational consumption. Where cannabis was used to improve the physical activity experience, it might be to improve their focus and enjoyment, or to enhance the mind-body-spirit connection and improve recovery by improving sleep quality and lowering pain, the study says. Authors added that while medical marijuana users didn't identify physical activity as a chief reason for cannabis use, lower physical activity among those people with chronic medical conditions may improve in some cases, by cannabis use. Commenting on the findings, Normal Deputy Director Paul Armentano emphasized that the findings run counter to what many still assume about people who use cannabis. These conclusions contradict long-standing stereotypes, alleging that cannabis consumers are lazy or apathetic, he said in a blog post. It's unfortunate that many of these false claims have historically guided public health messaging about cannabis and have also been used to stigmatize and discriminate against those who consume it responsibly. Authors note that their findings are consistent with some studies, but not all studies, looking at the association between cannabis and physical activity. Earlier this year, for example, similar research using data from Canada found that young to midlife adults were neither more sedentary nor intensely active after consuming cannabis, though recent use was associated with a marginal increase in light exercise. Our findings provide evidence against existing concerns that cannabis use independently promotes sedentary behavior and decreases physical activity, the researchers wrote, adding that the lazy stoner archetype historically portrayed with cannabis use does not acknowledge the diverse use of cannabis today. The report, published in the journal Cannabis and Cannabinoid Research, drew on data from Canada's National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, which during its 2011 to 2012 and 2013 to 2014 cycles included information from wrist-worn accelerometers that tracked participants' physical activity. Participants who were between ages 18 and 59 also answered a drug use questionnaire. that asked about their current and lifetime use of substances such as cocaine, cannabis, heroin, and methamphetamine. Another report from February found that people who use cannabis take more walks on average compared to non-users and e-cigarette users. The study, published in the journal Preventive Medicine Reports late last month, also found that cannabis consumers are not less likely to engage in basic exercise and strength training compared to non-users. In another stereotype-busting study that was published in 2021, researchers found that frequent cannabis consumers are actually more likely to be physically active compared to their non-using counterparts. A separate 2019 study found that people who use cannabis to elevate their workout tend to get a healthier amount of exercise. It also concluded that consuming before or after exercising improved the experience and aided in recovery. Various other recent findings similarly challenging widely held preconceptions about cannabis users. For example, a report last month concluded that there's no association between habitual marijuana use and paranoia or decreased motivation. The research also found no evidence that marijuana consumption causes a hangover the next day. A 2022 study on marijuana and laziness, meanwhile, found no difference in apathy or reward-based behavior between people who use cannabis on at least a weekly basis and non-users. Frequent consumers, that study found, actually experienced more pleasure than those who abstained. Separate research published in 2020 found that, compared to older adult non-users, older adult cannabis users at the beginning of an exercise intervention study engaged in more weekly exercise during the intervention and were engaging in more exercise-related activities at the conclusion of the intervention. A report published last December, meanwhile, examined neurocognitive effects in medical marijuana patients, finding that prescribed medical cannabis may have minimal acute impact on cognitive function among patients with chronic health conditions. Another report published this March in the journal Current Alzheimer's Research linked marijuana use to lower odds of subjective cognitive decline, with consumers and patients reporting less confusion and memory loss compared to non-users. That's big. A report published in April that drew from dispensary data found that cancer patients reported being able to think more clearly when using medical marijuana. They also said it helped manage pain. A separate study of teens and young adults at risk of developing psychotic disorders found that regular marijuana use over a 2-year period did not trigger early onset of psychosis symptoms, contrary to the claims of prohibitionists who argued that cannabis causes mental illness. In fact, it was associated with modest improvements in cognitive functioning and reduced use of other medications. Clinically, high-risk youth who continuously used cannabis had higher neurocognition and social functioning over time. Wow. And decreased medication usage. Yes, relative to non-users, authors of that study wrote. Surprisingly, clinical symptoms improved over time despite their medication decreases. A separate study published by the American Medical Association in January that looked at data from more than 63 million health insurance beneficiaries found that there's no statistically significant increase in psychosis-related diagnoses in states that have legalized marijuana compared to those that continue to criminalize cannabis.
Yes.
Studies from 2018, meanwhile, found that marijuana may actually increase working memory and that cannabis use doesn't actually change the structure of the brain. And contrary to then-President Trump's claim that marijuana makes people lose IQ points, the National Institute of Drug Abuse says the results of 2 longitudinal studies did not support a causal relationship between marijuana use and IQ loss. Research has shown that people who use cannabis can see declines in verbal ability. Sometimes my reading isn't right. And general knowledge, but that those who would use in the future already had lower scores. Hey, on these measures than those who would not use in the future. And no predictable difference was found between twins when one used marijuana and one did not. This suggests that observed IQ declines, at least across adolescence, may be caused by shared familial factors like genetics and family environment, and not by marijuana use itself. Dun, dun, dun. So the lazy guy is just a lazy guy, and the dumb guy is just the dumb guy.
Yes.
Sorry. And girl.
And human.
A human. Yeah. Whatever. You know?
Yep.
If you're dumb, you're dumb.
There is no such thing as a lazy stoner. Just
No.
lazy people.
Yeah.
I'm ambitiously lazy.
Are you? You are not ambitiously lazy.
Do you want to know I am ambitiously lazy?
You just get your shit done.
So I can be lazy
So
on
you
the
can be
weekends.
But you're far from lazy.
Yes, that's very true. Political, state, and business news. Illinois officials call out illicit sales. They're saying that THCA, oh my gosh, for eating into legal cannabis.
Gosh. It's such a mess. This whole THCA, Delta 8, Delta 10, Delta 9.
They also say that they're saying that officials estimate more than 1/3 of the state's cannabis use originates in the illicit market.
1%.
They're saying that 1/3 of the state's cannabis.
Oh,
use.
1/3.
Yes. Illinois cannabis industry. Here's the thing,
Well,
though. Right, but here's
make it affordable.
But it has nothing to even do about affordable. Illinois is already over $2 billion in sales. So what? You're good. You're good.
Yeah, right.
You're making 500, 600 million in taxes. You're good. Let some
I
other
guess
people
my
make
point
some
was
money.
just if they made it more attainable to have dispensaries, there'd be more of them.
I get it. Yeah.
So more people could have weed.
Illinois cannabis industry hit new heights in the fiscal year of 2024, with adult use sales already eclipsing $2 billion and dozens of new dispensary doors open. But the latest annual cannabis report from the state also reveals the market still wrestling with I'm going to call it the traditional market. You can all shit the bed and call it the illicit market, whatever you want, because you're just pissed off. Sales and emerging threat from unregulated hemp-derived products. The report complied. You're still doing $2 billion, though. You're still doing $2 billion. The hemp industry is just fine. They're making a couple $100 million. Mm-hmm. Traditional market folks are making some money.
I just wish they would just combine the forces and let it just be marijuana plant, whatever. You got hemp over here, you got weed over here, whatever. You're doing CBD, you're growing, whatever.
I told you a long time ago,
Just
this
let it
plant
be.
was made for everybody to make money on. Not you corpo cannabises, especially not the fucking federal and state governments. But Illinois showed already $457 million by the end of what dubbed a year of explosive growth, with 82 new dispensaries opening, bringing the statewide total to like almost 235, or I know it's over 200 now, like 235 dispensaries. They're complaining about the illicit market woes. The success was shadowed by concerns from state officials about competition from the illicit market. Even though the shiftings of law enforcement resources have mitigated away from minor cannabis offenses, the ongoing presence of the illicit cannabis being brought into Illinois still demands significant resources, the ISP stated in the report. The report was specifically called Chicago, noting that high-potency cannabis from other states enters the region around the city and is injected into the illicit market. The Illinois State Police seized approximately 12 tons of cannabis in fiscal 2024, valued at $63.7 million. Data from the International Cannabis Policy Study estimated nearly 36% of Illinois cannabis market is from illegal sources. A separate memo cited to include Asian drug trafficking organizations and both illegal and legal growers located along the U.S. West Coast, Pacific Northwest, and other states, it said. The persisting presence of unregulated weed in the state may also be in part of the price differentials. While legal dispensaries charge an average of $3.30 per ounce after taxes, street prices hover around $200 per ounce, according to data from Task Force and Meg units cited in the report. Heavy-hitting hemp is also affecting the cannabis market. A lot of different ratios. You have all the different cannabinoids, the synthetic cannabinoids. So heavy-hitting hemp is also taking a little bit away, but it's still not hurting you. You're still doing $2 billion. and $457 million in tax dollars. Get the fuck out of here. And here's the thing, too. Illinois, in September, sales were down. In September, did 136,508,866. Down from August and July, which are two heavy months here, and vacationers and all the cities are live. September is one of the worst. September and January, February are like the three worst months here in Illinois, in the Midwest in general. School, tuition payments. It's kind of a lull. People are like, summer's over, get back to the full-time grind of shit. Also, your overall total SKUs sold in a month were down too to 3,999,904. Oh, boo-hoo. You sold over 3 million, almost 4 million products again in another month. Enough's enough. You don't deserve all the money anyway. Just stuff like that aggravates me. Like, you're complaining. Another one here. Michigan cannabis sales sink a little bit too. Michigan cannabis sales fell in September from August, and at 266.9 million. Sales were only down 2.9% from the year earlier. You did close to $300 million, and you're crying about it. The Michigan Cannabis Regulatory Agency breaks out sales by medical and adult use. With medical sales, this is the scary thing. Medical sales have fallen 79%. They're basically doing $1 million a month now compared to what they were doing. Down 19% sequentially, and adult use sales falling 1.5% year to year to 265.9 million, down 9.6% from the record level. Also, the market is being flooded with product. Oversupply, and growers are growing more product. The new market in Ohio is hurting sales a little bit. And also, they call it the black market on this article. I'll call it the traditional market. There is a black market still, don't get me wrong. Nevertheless, the state is on pace to set a yearly sales record. Boo-hoo. Ready for this projected rest of the year sales? $3.3 billion. Up from last year's total of $306 billion. And you're not everybody.
And they're crying. It's not enough.
Not enough. Banks stand to generate over $2 billion in revenue from marijuana industry interest payments by 2035, new report finds. So banks are giving a little bit of money here and there. A new report projects the U.S. banks could generate over $2 billion in revenue from interest on loans to the marijuana industry by 2035. The cannabis sector is expected to need between $65.6 billion and $130.7 billion in growth capital. Despite the industry's expansion, many banks remain hesitant due to marijuana's federal illegality. However, financial institutions could profit significant reforms like the Safer Banking Act, which would provide legal protections for banks working with cannabis businesses. They're going to make money because we're going to go right. Everyone's going to go right. Once it goes bank, the safe bank, or goes whatever, and you can get loans from bank, you're just going to be paying the fucking piper instead of coming collaboratively with people. Finding people like-minded that you can run a business with and do it together and put your money together and do it. Then you don't owe a fucking bank and they don't deserve your interest money at all. You're just going to fuck it up. Banning hemp products isn't a way to protect public health or foster fairness for marijuana businesses.
Could you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. Banning hemp products isn't the way to protect public health or foster fairness for marijuana businesses.
That part. Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
I said foster.
No.
Just the way I said it.
Yeah.
You're stoned.
And you are too.
The article argues against banning hemp products, claiming such measures harm both consumers and businesses. Instead, sensible regulations should be implemented to ensure safety and fairness for both hemp and marijuana industries. Overregulation of legal marijuana creates high costs with hemp, while hemp products, especially those with psychoactive effects like Delta-8 THC, are often lightly regulated. A balanced approach with standards for testing, labeling, and age restrictions would foster competition and consumer protection without stifling growth. Florida Chamber of Commerce launches anti-cannabis legalization website. Officials with the Florida Chamber of Commerce have launched a website opposing Amendment 3, the state's adult use cannabis legalization amendment heading to voters this November. Sheriff Gordon Smith, though, supports legal cannabis to reduce unnecessary criminal records and promote safe, regulated products in Florida. Smith argues that the continuing to criminalize cannabis is not only unjust, but counterproductive to the state's goal of being a free state. Here's the other thing. There's over now $100 million being spent to either get cannabis legalized or not legal, recreationally. There are ads being thrown all over the fucking TV right now, and taxpayer money is being used for these ads, and 99.9% of everything they're showing on that ad is false and fake news and bad. Florida, I mean, I know it's not your fault, peeps down there, but whoever's doing this shit to try to get the vote nulled and void and not get people to go out and get the 60% you need, or 62%. Is it 62% or 60%? I think it's 60%. They're doing just so much wasted money. Right now, that money could have been used to doing cleanup on the west coast of Florida and in the middle of Florida, and over on the other side now is getting mopped up, and you're all going to need that money. But instead, these corporations are fighting one another instead of helping the community. And then here's the catch-22, everybody. You're going to go and support all those businesses if it goes legal. And all that money they could have donated and they could have got tax write-offs on eventually, and the state could have helped provide and be like, oh, we're all working together to help our communities out. They don't give a fuck about you. All they care about is what's going in their pocket. That's why that $100 million is being spent by these companies to get weed legalized, because they know it's going to be a $5 billion industry in Florida, and they all got it mopped up already because they're going to go right from medical, and all this shit's going to be turned right into recreational, and those companies already got it locked up. You ain't getting a license there. So it's costing major amounts of money, and these MSOs and corporate cannabis companies got it locked down. So we'll just be fucking chasing the carrot. Marijuana. Jeez. And you're not even getting home grow on this bill. So you can't even grow your own shit. So you just keep on smoking that remediated bullshit you're going to be smoking the rest of your fucking life. Sorry, I digress. M State partnering with startup to offer cannabis industry training. Minnesota State Community and Technical College, M State, has partnered with Green Flower, a company specializing in cannabis training, to offer online certifications in cannabis cultivation, retail, and extraction. The 9-week courses costing $750 cover topics like seed to sale, tracking, dispensary management, and cannabis production techniques. Graduates can pursue jobs in cultivation that pay anywhere between $36,000 a year to $75,000 a year, retail $42 to $151, or extraction $63 to $91. Since January, 79 students already completed the program. The partnership aims to prepare students for rapidly expanding cannabis industry. Yeah, Minnesota's becoming hard pretty quick here. So, medical marijuana still faces opposition from Kansas. Not in Kansas anymore, Toto. Law enforcement. Kansas law enforcement remains firmly opposed to legalizing medical marijuana, warning that could lead to increased cartel activity, opioids, deaths, and recreational marijuana. Boy, they got it backwards. Police chiefs and sheriffs argue that legal weed would cause issues like psychosis, suicide risk for veterans, and higher hospital visits. Boy, they got it wrong again. They also cite concerns over the cost of replacing drug-sniffing dogs and increased enforcement needs. Despite 67% of Kansans, is that what they call them in there? Kansans.
Yeah, Kansans.
All right. Supporting legalization, law enforcement opposition driven by federal drug classifications continues to stall legalization. Kansas is among the last states without a medical cannabis program. Brutal. New Mexico cannabis advocates called for tighter regulations. Cannabis advocates in New Mexico are urging lawmakers to straighten regulations for cannabis industry and crack down on unlicensed businesses. Licensed operators face challenges competing with illicit businesses that avoid taxes, testing, and regulations. Industry leaders propose a temporary moratorium on new licenses, more inspectors, and increased enforcement power of regulators. They also call for banning hemp-derived cannabinoids. Despite over $1 billion in revenue from legal cannabis in 2 years, concerns over market saturation and insignificant regulatory authority remains central to the debate. Legal marijuana contains dangerous mold. States are still approving it anyway. A Wall Street Journal analysis found that marijuana labs in multiple states appear to underreport mold contamination, allowing tainted products to be sold. Many labs report mold levels just under the legal limits. suggesting manipulation of results. Dangerous molds like asparagus can cause infection, particularly in cannabis users who are higher at risk. Labs that clear more samples for sales receives more businesses, incentivizing underreporting. Cases like the death of a worker at Massachusetts cannabis facility raises concerns over inadequate safety and testing standards in the industry. Revelry, which is going to be the new Spanibus, is in New York, cannabis event that rocks New York City. So it's called Revelry. They're comparing it to Spanibus. It's going to be as big as that one day. Spanibus draws like 25, 30, 40, 50,000 people. It's huge. The Revelry Cannabis Festival in New York was a 2-day event celebrating an intersection of cannabis culture and business held at Pier 36. It kicked off with an industry-focused buyers club on Friday, followed by a public festival on Saturday featuring live performances by headliner Joey Badass and numerous local cannabis brands. Attendees enjoyed music, panel discussions, art installations, and cannabis consumption area. The festival aims to foster connections within the cannabis community and promote legal products in New York and adult use market. Without court action, Alabama is never getting medical marijuana. We were just talking to our brother.
We were just talking about
to my
that.
brother-in-law who goes to Alabama probably almost every week. Family down there and stuff like that. His business is down there, and we were just talking about it. He goes, "This never going to pass. It should have been passed already." And when we told him what the only thing they were passing, he's like, "What?" I'm like, yeah, the only thing you're going to get in Alabama is a suppository.
He couldn't believe it.
Yeah, he couldn't believe it. He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah." Alabama's Medical Cannabis Commission, AMCC, is embroiled in lawsuits for not following state law awarding medical marijuana licenses, despite 4 years now. Since Governor Kay Ivey signed the law, no products have reached patients due to legal delays. The AMCC is accused of using a flawed secretive process to distribute only 5 licenses among 30 qualified companies. The lawsuit argues that the commission volatile Alabama's administrative procedures by not holding open meetings and by not open meetings and ignoring rules. Critics demand the court forces the AMC to follow proper procedures to expedite patient access. Crazy. 4 years you've been waiting for some legal shit, which you can't even get flour.
Jeez.
I heard you can get peach rings, though.
Yeah. It's the only way.
Peach rings and suppositories, at least as a whole.
That's terrible. Peach rings and suppositories.
I'm sorry, Alabama. I'm not laughing at you at all. I love you all down there.
Hopefully you're laughing with us.
Yes, hopefully you're laughing with us. I'm laughing at your stupid government. Army updates drug policy to explicit ban on Delta-8 THC products and warns soldiers against eating poppy seed bagels. Yeah, just weird. So weird. Detroit may put limits on marijuana billboards. The amendment would force advertising done by marijuana retailers to follow the same rules as alcohol advertising in the city. 10 years of legal weed. You ready for this? I can't believe it's been 10 years. 10 years of legal weed reflects on the decade since Washington and Colorado legalized recreational cannabis and highlights significant industry growth, including market expansion and job creation, while also addressing ongoing challenges like federal prohibition, taxation issues, and regulatory hurdles. The piece emphasizes the culture shift surrounding cannabis, which increased public acceptance and the focus of social equity. Additionally, it notes the importance of advocacy for broader legalization and need to address past injustices related to cannabis prohibition. Missouri marijuana sales totals in September. Missouri's marijuana market experienced expected fluctuations in September with a total sales of $117.43 million, slightly lower than August at $126.15 million. Why? Summer's over. Missouri lost all that vacationers, that helps drive up some traffic. This change reflects a 6.91% decrease month over month, is part of the predictable ebb and flow associated with seasonal and regulatory influence of the market. Massachusetts cannabis businesses surrendering licenses at an alarming rate. The rate of which cannabis businesses are surrendering licenses has picked up rapidly in the past year as the industry faces economic and regulatory headwinds. Since last September, 4 retail licenses have been either surrendered, not renewed, or revoked. Its entire 5 years since the legal cannabis industry sparked up in Massachusetts prior to September 2023. Just 5 licenses have been surrendered by local businesses. On a non-retail side, which includes manufacturers and growers, 26 non-retail licenses have been surrendered. Ooh, that's a lot. Revoked or renewed over the past year. Over the previous 5 years, only 11 such licenses were surrendered. Crazy. Jersey. launches Cannabis Training Academy, an online hub for aspiring entrepreneurs. The New Jersey, this is what I like. This is cool. The New Jersey Business Action Center has developed an educational, no-cost cannabis platform to help aspiring business owners as they navigate the process of establishing a licensed cannabis business in the Garden State. The Cannabis Training Academy will provide information covering the licensing application process, municipal approval, zoning issues, raising capital, post-licensing topics, and general operations. Conditional conversion support will also be available. That's great. Every state should have that. Should, 100%. So that's the business, state, and political news. How is Kamala Harris just trying to sway young black men with weed legalization?
Yeah.
And there's right now like a lot going on with one side and the other side trying to give you everything and everything right now. I've never seen so much shit offered in my whole entire life, 52 years on this planet. I mean, I've been through a lot of...
It's just so blatant.
It's like...
The reach that they are having
are
right
trying
now.
right
They're just
now
trying
to
so
try
hard.
to buy votes.
Yes.
Right? And
many different topics.
Yes. And I love this guy, Reginald Reefer, when he writes a really good article. And he is one that will give it to anybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who
He's
you
very
are.
fair.
You're very fair and balanced when it comes to his reporting. He'll give it to one side, he'll give it to the other side. If he finds something wrong that he doesn't like or she doesn't like, I don't, Reginald Reefer, I guess it's a he, she, them, they,
yeah.
I don't know. Will give it 100% to everybody. I love it. Because this writer
writes a good
takes
article.
no shit.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Mrs. Weedman, tell us about it.
As many of you know, this is the first person coming from the author. I've never been one to pull punches when it comes to critiquing politicians, regardless of their party affiliation. Trump, Biden, Harris, they've all felt the sting of my keyboard at one point or another. Why? Because in my view, they're all playing the same game, dancing to the tune of their donors, rather than genuinely serving the American people. Today, we're turning our discerning gaze toward Vice President Kamala Harris and her latest campaign promise. Specifically, we're dissecting her attempt to woo young black male voters with promises of cannabis reform and economic opportunities. Now, don't get me wrong. These are important issues that do deserve attention. But there's something about the timing and presentation that's got my bullshit detector working overtime. So let's be real for a second. Harris's support among black voters, especially young black men, has been surprisingly low compared to her predecessors. It's a trend that's been worrying Democratic strategists, and this new opportunity agenda feels like a calculated response to these polling numbers. While I want to believe in the sincerity of Harris's newfound passion for these issues, I can't help but see it as a classic case of political pandering. It's the kind of move that treats voters as monolithic blocks rather than individuals with diverse concerns and aspirations. So buckle up, dear readers. We're about to embark on a journey to unmask what I'm calling the Black Pander. We'll explore why relying on racial issues and stereotypical assumptions is probably the worst way to gain popularity in a presidential campaign. It's time to cut through the smoke and mirrors and get to the heart of what's really going on here. Let's dive into this opportunity agenda and see what Kamala Harris is serving up to young black men. On the surface, it's a smorgasbord of promises aimed at addressing economic disparities and creating pathways to success for black Americans. But as we peel back the layers, we might find it's more reheated leftovers than a fresh, nourishing meal. The general gist of the opportunity agenda is to provide black men with tools to build wealth, support their families, and lead in their communities. It's a noble goal, to be sure, but one that's trotted out by politicians time and time again. The plan touches on various areas, including entrepreneurship, education, healthcare, and criminal justice reform. So let's look at some of the key promises. 1. Providing 1 million forgivable loans of up to $20,000 to black entrepreneurs and others facing barriers to starting or growing a business. 2. expanding pathways for Black men to secure good-paying jobs in high-demand industries. 3. Supporting a regulatory framework for cryptocurrency and digital assets to protect Black investors. 4. Legalizing recreational marijuana at the federal level and creating opportunities for Black Americans in the cannabis industry. Now, let's hear it straight from the horse's mouth. The agenda states, Vice President Harris knows that Black men have long felt that their voice in our political process has gone unheard, and that there is so much untapped ambition and leadership within the Black male community. On the topic of education, the plan promises to build a pipeline of Black male teachers by investing in programs under the Department of Education to collaborate with historically Black colleges and universities and minority-serving institutions. One particularly intriguing aspect of the agenda is Harris's stance on digital currencies. The plan states more than 20% of Black Americans own or have owned cryptocurrency assets. It goes on to promise a regulatory framework to protect Black men and others who participate in that market. Now, I'm all for financial inclusion and protecting investors, but I can't help but raise an eyebrow at the specific focus on cryptocurrency in a plan targeting Black men. It feels a bit like pandering to stereotypes rather than addressing fundamental economic issues. As for the promise to legalize marijuana federally, well, you know I'm always going to perk up at that. The agenda states Harris will break down unjust legal barriers that hold Black men and other Americans back by legalizing marijuana nationally, working with Congress to ensure that the safe cultivation, distribution, and possession of recreational marijuana is the law of the land. It's a bold promise, and one that's long overdue. But it also is one that comes with a hefty dose of irony, given Harris's history as a prosecutor. Let's take a step back and look at the big picture. While the opportunity agenda touches on many important issues, there's something about its approach that doesn't sit quite right. It's as if Harris is trying to check off a list of what she thinks young Black men care about, rather than addressing the systemic issues that create disparities in the first place. On paper, this plan aims to empower Black men. It reeks of last-minute vote-grabbing before the election. It's like watching a politician suddenly remember they need the Black vote and hastily cobbling together a wish list of promises. Now, don't get me wrong. Addressing the impact of prohibition on Black communities is crucial, but let's not forget that the war on drugs didn't discriminate in its destruction. Sure, racist cops use weeds as an excuse to target Black folks for decades, but Latinos, poor whites, and countless others have found themselves caught in the crosshairs of these draconian laws. By focusing solely on one group, Harris is missing the forest for the trees. Moreover, this race-directed approach is a slippery slope. While it might seem noble to specifically empower Black men, it inadvertently excludes everyone else who's been screwed over by prohibition. Race-based politics is a dangerous game that often backfires, creating more division than unity. If Harris really wanted to level the playing field, she'd focus on creating a standard of entry into the cannabis marketplace that gives everyone an equal shot. Instead of handing out loans, why not lower the barriers to entry? Create micro-licenses that are easily obtainable by young entrepreneurs of all backgrounds. But that would mean less regulation, and we all know how much the government loves its red tape. And let's talk about those loans for a second. 1 million forgivable loans of up to $20,000, that's a potential $20 billion giveaway. I'm all for investing in communities, but let's put this in perspective. Victims of natural disasters like the recent hurricane and the Maui fires only got $750, not even given. It is a loan from the feds, and they can lose their property if they don't pay back. Talk about a slap in the face to folks who have lost everything. And let's be real, getting Congress to approve the loan is about as likely as Jeff Sessions joining a cannabis cultivation class. We've seen this playbook before with Biden. Promise big, stall bigger. It's a classic move that leaves voters feeling betrayed and cynical. At the end of the day, this opportunity agenda feels like a genuine attempt to address systemic issues, and it feels less like a genuine attempt to address systemic issues and more like a carefully worded document aimed at securing the black male vote. It's pandering, plain and simple, and I've got a hunch it might not work as well as Harris hopes. Look, I'm not against empowering marginalized communities or providing opportunities for those who have been locked out of the system, but true progress comes from inclusive policies that lift all boats, not just a select few. If we're serious about righting the wrongs of prohibition and creating a fair cannabis industry, we need approaches that unite rather than divide. As we barrel towards November, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Will black voters buy what Harris is selling, or will they see through the smoke? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this cannabis chronicler will be watching closely, ready to call out the BS wherever I see it.
I think everybody's going to be watching this election pretty closely.
Yeah, I think so.
It's been a rough one.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I've seen some pretty bad presidential cannabis candidate runs, and I think this one tops them all. I mean, geez, but there is no unity in this country right now at all.
There's no win.
No, nope.
Because there's either way, there's just going to be more divide.
Right. International news. Aurora Cannabis launches innovative THC oil products in Australia to meet diverse patients' needs. Aurora Cannabis has launched new THC oil products in Australia aimed to meeting diverse patients' needs. The line includes various concentrations and formulations to cater to different medical conditions. The move is part of the strategy to expand its presence in the Australian market and provide tailored solutions for patients. The company emphasizes its commitment to quality and innovation in cannabis products, positioning itself as a leader in the global medical cannabis sector. MedCanna subsidiary in Colombia enters negotiations with Australian firm for pharma cannabis study. MedCanna is the leading global infrastructure holding company focused on the pharmaceutical-grade cannabis industry, has entered negotiations with Australian pharmaceutical firm to supply medical-grade cannabis through one of the subsidiaries in Colombia. The agreement is projected to provide $100,000 to $200,000 in monthly revenue once operations begin. Damn. 90 patients a day. Telehealth tick and flick cannabis scripts under fire. An Australian doctor prescribed cannabis to 12,000 patients in 6 months, raising concerns about telehealth quality and regulatory oversight in the booming cannabis industry. The Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency has launched an investigation into excessive prescribing practices among medical professionals. Critiques argue that many telehealth clinics prioritize profit over patient care, over offering high pay to GPs for cannabis prescriptions. While some cannabis practitioners advocate for proper telehealth use, concerns about the medical ethics and consumer safety persist. Experts call for improved standards to legitimize cannabis as medical treatment. Come on, man. Just let the doctors write the scripts. Give people their medicine. You should be happy. People are happy. Should recreational cannabis be legalized in the UK? Yes. That's all Mr. Weedman has to say. Yes, it should. But there are many reasons why the UK should legalize recreational cannabis. At the core, in fact, that the British people won't continue to believe the misinformation used to clarify the current law prohibiting cannabis, which emphasizes punishment rather than public health and harm reduction, while massively restricting patient access to the drug for medical use. Cannabis provides a notable, wider, and safer therapeutic index than most commonly used drugs, demonstrating an excellent preclinical toxicity and safety profile. 1, and no fatal cannabis overdoses in humans have ever been reported. 2, most cannabis consumers experience no severe drug-related harms and frequently reported therapeutic benefits, including better sleep and management of pain, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, with reduction in opioid prescribing. 3, providing an important intervention in the opioid crisis. Prohibition harms. Legalization will rectify a 90-year-old historically anomaly, a policy driven by a racist U.S. political agenda and adopted by recent Labour and Conservative governments in the UK for electoral advantage. The implications of the de facto decriminalization by police around the UK highlights the failure and the futility of current policy. I just like my answer. Yes.
I just keep it simple.
Yes.
Yes.
Cannabis sales in Ontario, Canada rise 21% in the first year. States and authorized cannabis stores in the province were up 11.8% to reach more than 1 billion Canadian dollars. That's 724 million American dollars during the first 6 months of 2024, according to the report Ontario's Cannabis Marketplace by the numbers released Thursday by the OCS. Canadian cannabis laws show 6 years of evolution. The evolution of Canadian cannabis laws over 6 years since legalization in 2018. It highlights key development, including the shift from strict regulatory framework to a more flexible approach, allowing for more product diversification and market expansion. Challenges remain such as persistent black market activity and the need for improved access to the banking services for the cannabis industry. Also notes ongoing discussions about potential policy adjustments to enhance industry growth and address social equity issues. The growing number of medicinal cannabis clinics in New Zealand could risk putting profit before patient care, researchers say. Researchers in New Zealand warn that the rise of medical cannabis clinics may prioritize profit over patient care. Following legal changes in 2019 and 2020, access has improved with 160,000 prescriptions annually and a 14-fold increase in supply. However, costs remain a barrier, particularly for Morai and older patients. The trend has shifted toward high THC flower products, which pose potential health risks like memory impairment, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we already talked about that. It doesn't. Some experts express concerns about for-profit motives in the industry, while others argue that safety measures and a patient-first approach are in place. That is international news. This is going to be controversial, Mrs. Weedman.
No.
So controversial.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that you get to read this.
I'm ready.
Why, oh why, do you think, and what you're going to read about, and all you men out there, I kind of might think, I know some people, some women that roll better than men. Tell us about it, Mrs. Weedman.
Why do women roll better? Well, when it comes to the battle of the sexes, everyone has an opinion. Are women funnier? Are all men clueless? Why argue about silly things like intelligence and wit when we can argue about much more important things, like which gender can roll a real blunt? Well, because let's face it, that's true supremacy. Women are better at rolling than men.
Well,
Look.
you obviously, in this relationship, you roll 100% better than me because I can't roll. I got to use tools.
Look, I don't make the rules, but I have empirical evidence that women are the fairer gender when it comes to rolling a green burrito. Physically, women tend to have smaller hands than men. This means that their delicate fingers can work a paper into a joint with precision and finesse. I'll take a small-handed woman over a sausage-fingered guy to roll a better joint any day. Well, we all know that rolling requires coordination. A little hand-eye coordination goes a long way when it comes to rolling J's. Most people may think of hitting a baseball bat when it comes to hand-eye coordination. Do you know how much hand-eye coordination it takes to do makeup? It takes skill to apply makeup, attention to detail, a steady hand, and small movements, all of which are key to rolling the perfect joint. Another thing, it's in their DNA. Recent studies suggest that women possess a unique genetic marker, dubbed the cannabis craft gene. What? The cannabis craft gene.
Damn.
What? Which grants them an unparalleled ability to roll the perfect joint. This DNA sequence, found only in women, enhances dexterity and precision, making their joints smoother and more evenly packed. So next time you're in a debate about gender superiority, forget about the usual topics. Instead, ask yourself, who would I trust to roll the perfect blunt? Clearly, the answer is another woman.
I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of DMs about that one and some emails on that one. Like, what?
But
You know, I mean, I've had...
it's going to be a bunch of videos of people, guys with sausage fingers rolling joints. I could do it.
Did you tell me that, like, you see most people that have a longer fingernail?
I have noticed that guys who roll, they either have like a long and they'll like kind of file the nail a little bit like oval. So there's like almost like a soft tip on it. And then they could push the paper in when they roll a joint and tuck the paper. Or I've seen it like a ring or a pinky finger. It looked like you might think it's a Coke nail.
Right.
But the way it's filed is more like a little point, almost like so it can
So you can tuck
the paper in.
Gotcha.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, look at you being
Hey.
observant.
I should be a detective.
You should have been. You'd have been good
I
at
should
it.
have been. I think I would have loved it.
Or you should have been Dexter.
Quincy Jones.
Dexter.
No, I don't want to murder anybody.
No, not murder, but what he did was the
blood spatter.
Just the whole
was a blood
investigation.
spatter
Right.
detective.
But he did the whole investigation
fun.
of a murder scene. He did the whole scene and he measured stuff.
Crime scene
Yes,
investigation.
There it is. That's what you should have done.
But he was a blood specialist.
He was.
A blood splatter specialist. And he murdered people.
And he did.
I'll stick to detective.
Snoop Dogg played meteorologist on the Today Show, delivering forecasts for real cities like Blaze, Kentucky, and Stoner, Colorado. Him and Al Roker, Snoop Dogg took on new roles as a guest meteorologist on Today's Show on Thursday, taking viewers through a personalized marijuana-themed weather map featuring cities from Weed, California, to Tokeland, Washington, to High Point, North Carolina, and Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
That's awesome.
Famed weatherman Al Roker invited Snoop to deliver the forecast from the map of real USA municipalities with seemingly cannabis-themed names, playing into the artist's close association with marijuana culture. And Snoop quickly obliged, first by excitedly pointing out the 57-degree forecast in Mary Jane Falls, Nevada. Then I heard it was going to be 56 degrees in Stoner, Colorado. But my favorite is when it's nice and hot and misty outside, 84 degrees in Blunt, South Dakota, he said. The rest of Snoop's weather forecast was sliding down to this area right here above the average highs, 70 degrees in Roach, Missouri. And over here, we stayed lucky in Kentucky. It's going to be a 60 as we blaze in Blaze, Kentucky, you dig? And over here, we got Pottsville, Pennsylvania, where it will be 60 degrees. And down low on the go, 61 degrees at High Point. Get that? High Point, North Carolina. It's just been a Snoop Dogg year this year. 2024 has been a Snoop Dogg year.
Just go with it.
Yeah. So funny shit, though. That was a little bit of culture for everybody out there. It is. It's just great to see fun being played now with cannabis. I mean, would you ever thought you would have seen cannabis on Al Roker's show? We're doing weather.
Right.
That's fucking
making
amazing.
Reference to weed. Right.
Federally. I mean, this should be just it's weed, man. It's nothing harmful. It ain't killing you.
Right.
That's for sure. So, Mrs. Weedman,
Mr. Weedman,
you got anything else to say?
it's time for some snacks.
Oh, you know what I'm
I got
having?
the munchies.
having-
We're gonna have a peanut butter chocolate bar too.
Yeah. So, Mrs. Weedman, I'm gonna miss you for the next couple of days. Have a great trip. Be safe. We love you.
Thank you.
Everybody out there in the world, we love you. Be kind to one another. Seriously. Be kind out there. Show some love. Show some respect. Show some kindness. And just be fucking nice. And this world will be a better place. As Paulie always says, smoke smart. Puff, puff, and away.
Puff, puff, pass.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.